Hello everyone, Killer Shrew Fan here, and I hope you're all doing well. Now, with the New York 2019 Toy Fair just around the corner, I figured it was high time I started to take a look at some of Mattel's new for 2019 Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom toys before we got a fresh influx of new and exciting figures. So that is what we are going to be doing today, and I wanted to start it off with a high note. Today's figure is this, the Battle Damage Albertosaurus. This figure is, for whatever reason, seeming to be the most popular of the new dinosaur models that we have gotten from Mattel so far in 2019 as part of their Dino Rivals lineup. Now, does it hold up to scrutiny? Is it actually that amazing? Or are people just kind of trapped in that honeymoon phase where they are thinking something is way better than it is? Let's find out right here and right now on Killer Shrew Fans Killer Toy Reviews. But as always, first and foremost, we gotta start off by taking a look at the new packaging. Now, the packaging is incredibly vibrant and eye-catching, possibly even more so than the 2018 Fallen Kingdom box art. The colors here are a vibrant orange, yellow, and red, which work to contrast sharply with the darker corners and logo of the package. It's very eye-catching. The colors combine in a very appealing and eye-catching manner. But getting into the specifics of it, in the top left corner you've got the Jurassic World logo, not cracked, it is preserved now, so this is not part of the Fallen Kingdom lineup. And then down in the bottom left corner, you've got this lovely rendition of Rexy staring at you. It's not Chris Pratt, it's Rexy, and I absolutely love that. She looks fantastic staring you down. There you can see the Albertosaurus logo framed by a bunch of scratches, and here you can see the Battle Damage logo, 4+ years warning, which I qualify for. And if we move back up to the head of the Albertosaurus, you can see the Albertosaurus sort of creating the shadow image of the original T-Rex logo from Jurassic Park, done here in a fiery yellow and orange. Looks absolutely beautiful. And then here you can see a push button indicator to try this Albertosaurus out in stores, which I very much recommend you do. The back of the box features a lovely digital rendering of the dinosaur in question here. It looks absolutely gorgeous in this sort of digitized fashion. And if we move over to the right side of the box, you can get some diagrams of the battle damage action feature that comes with this dinosaur. You activate double damage on this guy, so you can remove the skin flap and then you can remove the ribs to reveal the internal organs, which was a complete surprise to me. The bottom left corner features the other battle damage dinosaurs that will be coming to us as part of Wave 1. We've got a repack of Blue and Stiggy and a repaint of that long sought after Pteranodon, which will be coming to us shortly, I think, in the new Dino Rivals packaging. The top left corner reminds us to get the Jurassic World Facts app so that we can scan a digital copy of our dinosaur into our phones and learn all sorts of cool facts about it. Alright, that is enough about the packaging. I say it is time we get this asset out of containment. So we got our trusty dusty scissors here, just gonna take them here and... there is our Albertosaurus, free of that cardboard prison at long last. And I gotta say, first impressions, she's quite hefty in the hand, and it's really great to finally hold this one and feel it between your fingers. I think it's got a great sort of feel to it. Some dinosaur models, you know, you get them out of the box and you're like, I could take it or leave it. I don't have to, you know, fiddle with this one. I can just leave it on the shelf. In fact, I might not have even had to unbox this one, but this one definitely feels like it is meant to be unboxed and held and fiddled with. So we're going to give you guys a closer look at this dinosaur model, starting off with the detailing as always, and then we'll get into the gimmicks, size comparisons, all of that stuff. So don't go anywhere, stay tuned. It's all coming up right here and right now on Killer Shrew Fans Killer Toy Reviews. So starting off at the head, Mattel has proven in the past that they can be very hit and miss when it comes to making models based on dinosaurs that do not have screen representation in the Jurassic franchise. Some of them look very, very good. Others look a little more cartoony, a little less realistic, but I am happy to say that this Albertosaurus falls under the category of very, very good. The sculptural details on this thing are tight. It looks like something that Safari Limited or Collecta would make if they chose to do action figures as well as models, and I think that stands as a triumph, and it really speaks to Mattel's sculptural and design process and how well they can do with it. I mean, just look at all the detail here. The individually sculpted scales, the nasal ridges, the eyelids, the individually sculpted teeth, the nostrils, everything has been addressed. The front of the snout has some ridge scaling going on. The musculature in the lower jaw is very well defined. You've got a nice orange eye seated nice and deeply there with a black pupil. It just looks fantastic, this head. And if we move down the neck, you can see the sort of ridge-plated scalings with scoots and spikes coming out at angles, at intervals. And then once you hit the midsection, there's some lovely musculature in the shoulder and side region there. And then the thighs, they look incredibly powerful, and the ridge scaling and spikes and scoots continue all the way down to the tip of the tail, along with some lovely striation and wrinkle detail. Going back up the opposite side, it's really the same story. Just absolutely impressive sculptural elements on this Albertosaurus. I can't praise it enough. I absolutely love the ridge-plated scalings, the spikes, the musculature. It's all been addressed, and if you see on this side, you can get a good indication of some sort of sandy pebble-like scaling going on over the shoulder blades and side. And then we come back up to that beautiful head. Having a look at the feet here, they are very well proportioned and look very tyrannosaurid in nature. The calf muscles and thigh muscles are very well defined, and you've got some lovely scoots and ridges protruding from them there. The toe claws are painted a nice, sleek black color, and like I said, the musculature in the legs is very impressive. You got a lovely sculpted kneecap there as well, and if we go up the leg on the right side, you've got some lovely scratches sculpted into the body. Just want to say a quick side note about these scratches. Unlike the battle damaged super colossal roaring T-Rex or the battle damaged T-Rex with Monolophosaurus, these scratches are actually successful. I think the color might be a little too vibrant of a red, but the fact that they're actually sculpted with indentation really makes this thing actually work. It doesn't look like they just sprayed some red on top of the leg. It looks like they actually sculpted in these scratches, which is awesome. Having a look at these little tyrannosaurid arms, they are incredibly powerful looking. The bicep and tricep are incredibly well defined, and the shoulder muscle looks very powerful. The finger claws are unfortunately not painted, but that is just kind of the norm for Mattel at this point. I can't really bash on that. It's just what we expect. Maybe someday we'll see some painted finger claws, but I wouldn't hold your breath. That being said, the sculptural details here are still impressive. If we move along the underbelly, you can see the musculature and wrinkles sculpted into the lower jaw there. The gullet looks absolutely awesome with all the folds of skin bagging up as the jaw opens. And once you hit the midsection, you got some lovely leathery skin texturing going on. And here's everyone's favorite part. It is the QR code. So if you wanted to scan this Albertosaurus into your phone, here is a nice clean look at that code. Go for it. Use ours, scan it in, learn all sorts of cool facts about the dinosaur, take quizzes on it, do whatever you want. It's all yours. But anywho, the leathery skin detailings on this midsection and gut region are extremely well done. They look incredibly lifelike and realistic. Now for the pose of this Albertosaurus. Like most of Mattel's dinosaurs, it is pretty neutral. The right back leg is bracing against the ground as the left leg takes a slight step forward. The hands are held bent and pronated, and then the head can crane forward, and of course you can move it with the articulation. We'll get into that, but yes, very neutral posing going on, which I think a lot of people enjoy about Mattel's dinosaurs, and it gives a lot of options. Once we get into the posing, you can kind of pose it in a lot of different ways, and it makes for clean and neat displaying. It doesn't have its tail swooping back and getting in the way of anything. It's standing with its legs firmly under it, so it's not going to fall over. It's well balanced. there's a lot of perks to the neutral posing that Mattel does, and they've done it here quite well. If we move on to the points of articulation, it's pretty standard for what Mattel has done in the past. The arms can go forward and back. They cannot rotate out, unfortunately, but that's okay. The back and legs can go forward and backwards as you please. They kind of do have their lock-in position as they always do, but yeah, you can pose them in a variety of ways. The neck is on a swivel, so you can swivel that around and up and down, and of course the lower jaw is articulated. The tail can be rotated around ever so slightly. Not a lot of options here, but hey, at least you do have that point of articulation should you see fit to do that. And I kind of gave away the action gimmick here. We'll give you a closer look at it. So the action gimmick is completely unlike anything Mattel has ever done for us in the past, or any toy company for that matter with the battle damage. First and foremost, you've got the actual skin flap that they've done on all their battle damage dinosaurs, and it's what Hasbro did on their battle damage dinosaurs with the Jurassic World toy line. But then you've got these ribs, which can also be pressed and activated upwards to reveal a soft, squishy intestine. It reminds me of the Allosaurus from the Lost World toy line, but this one doesn't have extra pieces that can be lost. They can easily be replaced. They're all just part of the same toy. You can slide them right up and they just fit right back into place. You don't have to worry about falling pieces or losing anything. It's just all self-contained, and it's a very creative battle damage, if I do say so myself. Something I do want to caution you on, though, many of the battle damage Albertosauruses have very, very sensitive action gimmicks. That being so, what I mean by that is the ribs or the skin flap can flap up very easily. They don't lock in place all that well for some of these. So I highly, highly recommend testing this thing out in store and finding the one that locks in place the best. That's all I can say for that. Now, for things that definitely need to be addressed. Some big issues that this model suffers from. First and foremost, we have the proportions. This thing is just completely disproportionate, and I think it all comes down to that stubby, stout tail. Now, Mattel have often struggled in the past with getting the tails to be the right proportion, but never before have we had anything this insultingly small in comparison to the rest of the body. It is so distracting from an otherwise enjoyable piece, and it just makes you wonder why they chose to go cheap on us with the amount of plastic that they put into the tail. The head is also a little on the large side, but it's less insulting than the tail. And even if they extended the tail and made the tail bigger, I probably wouldn't notice the larger head as much. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I for one am completely happy to pay an extra, $2 or $3 or $4 even to get a little more plastic on this tail and make this thing look a little more proportional, because everything else about it, well, almost everything else about it is very well done. But then the proportions just come along and destroy it for me. It doesn't destroy it for me, but it definitely cripples an otherwise standout figure. Next issue that I definitely have with this model is the paint. The paint scheme on this thing is very, very lazy. Don't get me wrong, there's enough information visually to convey an idea, but it is definitely slacking in terms of the paint department, because let's see, it's molded in this olive green color, and then you've got this sort of lovely magenta coloration coming down off the snout and onto the back of the neck and over the shoulders, and then you've got the cream on the the lower jaw and on the throat, but it doesn't transition onto the underbelly at all. It stops at the base of the neck. There is nothing else color-wise on this model save for the red scratches and the color of the bones and then the pink intestines, but the pink intestines are probably a separate piece to begin with, so it's not like they have to paint that with this thing. It's just lazy. This paint scheme is completely lazy, and it's such an unfortunate case because the colors that they chose do work quite well together. I love the way that red radiates down off the neck and transitions so smoothly into that olive color, and I love the transitioning going on in the throat region as well, but the fact that they just stopped it at the base of the neck and carried it no further is just so disappointing. it's disappointing. And if you tell yourself anything else, you're lying to yourself, and I'll get to why that is. But, I mean, again, it's one of those things. A couple extra bucks for a more intricate paint scheme, I would gladly pay it. I mean, at least with other Mattel figures, they get it to the base of the tail, but this one, they didn't even go for that, which is just completely unfortunate and disappointing. Another thing that I want to point out is, when you are buying this in stores, be sure to give them a very, very good look over, because I have noticed a lot more paint blemishes on this Albertosaurus and the Styracosaurus running rampant. Mine even has a little splotch of red, even though I gave it a look over. Ultimately, that's not a huge deal, that little tiny splotch of red, but it's just something that we need to, you know, mention, bring up. Otherwise, if we just let Mattel get away with things like this, they'll continue to cut corners if we continue to buy the things where they cut corners on. So let's just keep our thumbs on the back of their neck and keep them producing the amazing toys that they have in the past. Now, as far as the size on this Albertosaurus goes, you're looking at right around 13.5 inches from tail to snoot, which is about 34.5 centimeters, and from the base all the way to the highest point when we stand him up to his fullest height, you're looking at just under 8.25 inches off the ground, which is about 21 centimeters off the ground, and he's gonna fall. I'm not gonna let him. There we go. Okay, so yes, a sizable figure, and you know, it kind of has a similar stature to the Action Attack dinosaurs from last year, which is fitting because it's the same price point. Here we can see the Albertosaurus next to the Thrash and Throw Tyrannosaurus Rex, the other Tyrannosaur that came out as part of the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom toy line. And I think these two size up pretty fittingly next to each other. Next up, I went ahead and brought in Carnage the Carnotaurus, our good buddy, because these guys, like I said, are the same price point. So they should be very similar in size, and I'm happy to say that they definitely are. It looks like we could stand the Albertosaurus up a little taller than we could Carnage the Carnotaurus over there, and they are pretty similar in terms of the overall length. I know I gave that tail crap, but they are similar in length. Honestly though, if they had just scaled the body down and kept this length, I would have been happy with that too. Carnage is also here to illustrate a very important point that I brought up a little bit ago about the paint. As you can see with Carnage the Carnotaurus, he, like the Albertosaurus, has an absolutely incredible sculptural facet. He looks absolutely amazing. But imagine how lame it would be if that purple and that white did not transition onto the midsection, and you didn't get that lovely patterning coming off of the dorsal region and up from the underbelly and adorning the thigh and going all the way down to, you know, a quarter of the way down the tail. Imagine how lame that would be. And then look at this Albertosaurus and you realize that is exactly what happened with this Albertosaurus. And ask yourself, do you prefer this Albertosaurus's paint job to the Carnotaurus paint job or any other dinosaur paint job that Mattel has given us? The answer is no, and if you answer anything else, you are lying to yourself. And finally, we have got Dr. Ian standing in next to the Albertosaurus. Again, these do size up pretty well next to each other, and I gotta say, I think these are very play compatible. They look great next to each other. Mattel does a good job of making sure their toys all look play compatible, and this one is no exception. So there you have it, guys. That is going to do it for our look at the new, for 2019, Battle Damage Albertosaurus from the new Dino Rivals line by Mattel. Overall, I feel like I was much more critical in this video than I usually am. And don't get me wrong, I still do like this figure very much. I don't want you to think that I don't like it, and I don't want you to think I think that Mattel did a bad job. It's just a few elements of this thing work against it in a big way. It cripples the overall feel of an otherwise very pleasing and well done toy. And unless we continue to hold Mattel to the high standards that they set for themselves in 2018, they will continue to cut corners like this as long as we continue to buy the products that they have cut corners on. And I, for one, do not want to have that happen. So yes, that is why I was a little more critical than usual on this piece. I still very much enjoy it, but Mattel, by God, you can do better. You can do even better than this, especially on these toys that are just, you know, so incredible, but have these big issues. Like, they can be fixed, and the toy can be even better. That is all I am trying to say in this review, and if you ask me for my final rating on this piece, I would still give it a solid 7 out of 10, but as always, I would love to hear what you guys think of this model. Do you own it yet? Are you planning to pick it up? What's your opinions on the Dino Rivals line so far? What are you most looking forward to seeing at the New York Toy Fair this Saturday? Leave all of your thoughts down in the comments section below. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning into our review today, and if you enjoyed it, and you want to let us know that you did, don't be afraid to hit that like button on the way out, and don't forget to subscribe. We got a lot more Jurassic World toy reviews and news coming your way this week, so stay tuned. Thanks again, and that's going to do it for us. Killer Shrew Fan out.